Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Divyanshu Pandey welcoming you all on this heroic Sunday on behalf of the Academy of Life Skills Based Education for Human Excellence in association with Shri Krishna Sweets to this
I cannot see Divyanshu. Yes, I'm sorry, there was a network issue, I think, on my end.
thank you, Aprajita. Thank you so much. There was a network glitch on my part. Sincere apologies to all the viewers, to all of you. I have rejoined.
Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Divyanshu Pandey welcoming you all again on the behalf of the Academy of Life Skills Based Education for Human Excellence in association with the Sweets to the seventh session of our conversation series, Understanding Swami Vivekananda. We all are commemorating 125 years of his historic return after his momentous speech in Chicago. This series involves conversations with all of those who have walked on the road to the glory and have something to share with the youth of today. It gives me immense pleasure and I feel truly honored to share the stage with Miss Aparajita Acharya, daughter of the Kargil War martyr, Major Padmapani Acharya, who was honored with the Mahavir Chakra for his valor and for his courage in the war. Aprajita, we are truly honored to have you with us, and you are someone who is a great beacon light of hope for the country. I would now request Murli sir to please address us with his words of wisdom.
Yeah, congratulations for the, I think, seventh week of understanding Vivekananda. What a beautiful thought. If you think about Swami Vivekananda, you can get the power, energy. So we first salute the great soul of India and Namaskar Abhidham. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I
Yes,
can hear
sir,
you.
you're audible.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just think about every week we think about two things of Swami Vivekananda. Today we think about his word one. It's a very powerful statement. All power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Swami Vivekananda. All power is within you. You can do anything and everything. That is Mr. Colonel done it. He have power within him. The power is pure love of nation. He loves the nation so much, so much. So he get the power and destroy the enemies. So always we think about Swami Vivekananda, we get the power. Today, you are all youngsters discuss about Swami Vivekananda and his thoughts. His message makes lot of difference in our life. Once Vivekananda told, the greatest sin is to think that you are weak. Greatest sin is to think that you are weak. What a statement. If you think you are weak, that is a sin. My dear friends, this week you have a fantastic guest. You can talk a lot. You can get lot of informations and courage, lot of knowledge about. She can share lot of good things about her father. So please take this big. You have a lot of takeaways. Wish you all the best and only the best. Always the best. Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you so much. So, Prajita, before we start this conversation series and before I ask you something, there's a slight request on my part. I want you to first connect with the audience, say something about yourself, and what do you expect from us in this interview? How do you see the life and everything about yourself?
Namaskar, everybody. My name is Aparajita Acharya, and I'm the daughter of the proud daughter of Major Padmapani Acharya Mahavir Chakra. My father made the ultimate sacrifice in the Kargil War in 99, and I was born 3 months post him making the ultimate sacrifice. And I'm very blessed that to be not just his daughter, to belong to the family that I belong, because they've been my biggest strength, my mother, my grandparents, my entire family, and well wishers like all of you today. I thank Murli sir for the wonderful introduction and his wise words. I mean, what a way to start today's conversation. I'm so glad to be talking to Divyanshu here, who's going to facilitate the program, to Prashanti and everyone. And I think the best part about today is I'm talking to people my age. All of you are young. And I think what sometimes happens is we can't really relate to a lot of people or their journeys. Somebody who's lived a lot, who's much elder to us in age, they have experiences we can't relate to because our life has just begun. But when we are at this platform together, we are experiencing, we are entering into that phase of life together. We are all on the same gear, more or less. So I think it makes that relatability easier, and I hope you can ask me all that you want to ask me without any hesitation. So I really look forward to that, and I'm very fortunate to be here, so thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so energetic and that was so well said. The idea of relating to your points, the idea of relating, thousands of audience will be joining us from YouTube. They would be connected with us through the online mode from different parts of the city, listening to you. And what impression I get from this interview is that it's all raw, it's all original and authentic. Well. Okay, I'll like to go back 23 years ago when the Kargil actually happened. With I'm sure with every sun rising and with every sun setting, you have a direct relation with your father. You have a direct relationship with your father. Yeah, please, please.
I think the bond between a parent and child is beyond time. And I tell this to people. I have never seen my father. What I know about him is through my family. But I think it is a blessing that I am so deeply connected to him. I have conversations with him in my head. And, you know, I have, I feel so close to him. I feel like a part of him. And, it's something as basic as genetics that I look a little like my father. But because of him doing what he did and being the person that he was, people search for him in my eyes sometimes. People look at me and think of him. And I think that what an honor that people look at this face and think of a hero. And have the I'm so blessed to live with that honor that I feel if I don't do justice to it, not I'll probably never fill his shoes are too big, but if I do my best in serving the country the way he did, I'll somewhere do justice to that, to all that blessing that I am that that was showered upon me even before I was born.
Yeah, indeed. That's very well said. That's really very honest of you. That's really very great of you. Something we all admire. We have six students who are joining us from Chennai. They are college students, belong to the same age group, 18 to 25, and they have to ask so much from you. And the first student whom I would like to call is it's the first student is Arul Selvi. She's a commerce student and she wants to speak to you, ask what's there in her mind. Arul, you have all the time now.
Good evening, Aparajita.
Good evening.
So I wanted to ask you, so do you think growing up you had a different perspective of life apart from your peers, and how do you think Swami Vivekananda has shaped your childhood?
Right. That's a wonderful question. And that is very true. Our experiences create how we perceive life. I was born knowing the fact that my father, ever since I can remember, I've always known that my father posthumously got the Mahavir Chakra, that, he has sacrificed his life in Kargil war and he's fought the war and that he's a hero. Ever since I remember. My grandmother was very blunt. She sat me down one day and told me, though I don't remember the day, ever since I remember, I know this. But not a lot of people my age group, actually, none my age group, had that experience. For a child in nursery, LKG who's learning apples, bananas, elephants, they don't know what the word posthumous means. So they say, "What does your father do?" I say, "Yeah, he posthumously got the Mahavir Chakra and he sacrificed his life in the Kargil war." There are too many words for a KG student to perceive. So nobody around me understood that. They did not understand, and that's all right. But where I came from, I remember my teachers were quite. Uh, they never really saw me shy in terms of or intimidated by a mic or attention or being on stage, because I grew up because of my grandparents, doing various interviews. I saw a mic even before I went to school. I grew up in limelight. So it was not something I ever had to get used to. Ever since I remember, I understand the setup of an interview. I understand what it means to be scrutinized by the public, where the public is listening to you. So it makes you really think twice about what you have to say. I think thought can be free, but to always articulate the way you speak, that is something I am fortunate enough to have known since I can remember. The way you conduct yourself, the way you speak, the way you think. Patriotism was a very strong feeling. I like there was so much pride, that I would wear, for Republic Day and Independence Day, you wear the national flag on your. They used to pin it onto us, and I always got it pinned from home. And I used to take a lot of pride in singing the national anthem, and this whole hoisting of the flag. And we used to sit and watch the whole Republic Day parade on TV after we got back. And I would talk of which contingent performed better than the other, and how, what was the best parts that I liked. And this kind of zeal, this extreme kind of feeling of patriotism, we still hoist the national flag on our terrace. We do that every Republic Day and Independence Day. So these are things that I kind of grew up with, and these are things people around me were not as excited for a certain age, up till a certain age, and that was all right. But that was a huge difference. um, I'd like to say that When it comes to Swamiji's impact in my life, what I try to do is I'll try to answer all the questions regarding my personal life, and then I will start to tell you how Swamiji's guidance has changed my life largely. Does that sound okay?
Yes,
Or
it
I think
does.
what I, or I think I will begin with that now. I think I'll begin with that. Um, I will do that. Yeah. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arul. Thank you so much, Aprajita. You have all the time. The country is eager to listen to you, listen to somebody who will really inspire us, a great beacon light of hope, and just go with the flow, the way you want to speak to us. There's no strict watertight arrangements for this. The way you want to converse with us, make it raw, make it original, the way you want. It's completely a learning process, and we look forward for that. So choose the course you want to. And now I would like to invite the second student. Is there anything you wish to say?
Yes, I think that's how we'll go about it,
Yes.
Divyanshu. I think I'll answer all the
Okay.
questions, the personal questions, and then I will start to tell you people my journey and my connect with Swamiji.
Sure, sure. That will be the great idea. And without any delay, now I would like to call Sadhna, joining us from Chennai with her question. Sadhna, the stage is yours. And
Good
yes,
evening,
Aprajita.
Aparajita.
Please.
Good evening, Namaskar. Yes,
I'm really excited to be asking you the question. So,
okay, Aparna.
my question is, your father is a war hero who has actually sacrificed his life for our own country. How do you actually interpret Swami Vivekananda's call for nation to your father's patriots?
I think the first factor is the base that you set for it, the perception of duty. Both Swamiji and my father, they've spoken about what is karma yoga, what is dharma, what is your duty towards your nation. It isn't a choice, it's not an obligation, it's not a job, it's duty. And duty and purpose, these are things that are beyond your control, and these are things you
Yeah,
shouldn't want to control. These are things you shouldn't
definitely.
think about. You can't pinpoint a single day somebody decided to do it. You
Yeah,
can't,
actually.
when you look at Swamiji's entire life, do you think you can point out the exact moment he would have probably said, I'm going to dedicate my life? No. It started as a quest. And that quest was a process. And the minute you devote yourself to the process of a quest, of discovering something larger than yourself, a purpose larger than yourself, of creating that awareness, guidance, deeper thought, you are already dedicating your life to something bigger.
Yeah,
And the same with my father. And I think that is beautiful. When my father was at war, he still wrote back to the family very often. And he probably would find 5 minutes, between 3 days, exhausted with so much to process around him, death, danger. And yet, when he's writing, he's asking my mother, how is your health? He's asking how my grandparents are. He's asking, how's his sister, how's her work going on? you know and he's asking, take care of the baby. We had a pet called Kajal. How is Kajal doing? And he's joking, and he's writing, uh, he's telling her, these mountains are beautiful, you should visit sometime. Those mountains were seeing bloodshed, but to have the optimism that we are going to win the war and someday my family can visit these beautiful mountains up here. I mean, he was pursuing different roles in life at the same time. He is a soldier, he's a leader, but on the other hand, he's also a son, a husband, a father, a brother, and he's handling all these roles at the same time, not once compromising. And I think that is that sense of duty. It's it's
definitely.
not a negotiation. You do it. And when every soldier pledged to wear that uniform, went into training, pledged to wear that uniform, each soldier that they decided they do whatever it takes, even giving their life. And that sense of duty is beautiful. Because when we look at Swamiji's life, where he never turned back, it went from a question to a thought to an action and to devotion, his entire life to that process. For a man of his intelligence, he could have, when you look at a person who has always done well, who has been intelligent, who is doing well in studies, What do you think that they should be successful? How do you measure success? We measure it in terms of the conventional path that we have set. We think this person can make money, they can be famous, they can, do something noble that still makes them money and keeps them comfortable. But here is a man who is a prodigy by all means. He is the definition of the word prodigy, who has used all that intelligence to chart out a very different course. And I think that speaks a lot. My father did hotel management. He was 24 years old. It was his last and only chance to join the army. One day, he walked into the door, and our neighbors at that point of time in DRDL. So my grandfather was in the Air Force. So he was that time working with DRDL. So in the quarters, my father comes back from work. He was a hotel manager. Comes back, a neighbor, another colonel, tells him, "Young man, young healthy man, what are you, hatta katta naujawan? What are you doing in the hotel industry? Go join the forces." And my father opened the door and announced, "I'm not going to work from tomorrow. I'm joining the forces." At 24, he decided, prepared for the exam, got through in one go, joined the forces. No turning back. Now we truly never know where, somewhere at the back of his mind, this thought was there, and it probably needed that minute to take that decision. But the minute he took that decision, he stuck to it, and there was commitment once that was taken. And we always think you start young, but it's not necessary that the journey you start to make is the one that you ultimately make. You can always change your path. My father did hotel management, which is nowhere related to this. He was 24. Normally, when we read stories of various heroes in the forces, we see them, they have always dreamt of joining the forces. They've started planning young. This was not one of those decisions. However, the minute he decided, there was no compromise in the quality of commitment to that decision. And that is something truly admirable. I hope I answered your question, Sadhana.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah, the
much.
idea of commitment and living a life of purpose, not finding the purpose of life, rather living the life of purpose. Very well said, Aprajita. We have the third person here. I would like the third person from Chennai, again a commerce student, to kindly join us. She has a lot to ask from you and a very eager student. I would like to call Uttara with her question. Uttara, please.
Good evening, Aparajita.
Good evening, Uttara. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope you're doing good as well.
Yes,
So I
yes.
think I'll proceed with my question. It is brought into light that your mother has read the Bhagavad Gita to you at such a young age. Did you happen to take an initiative to read the Gita again to gain more perspective on the philosophies stated in it? And Swamiji also spoke more about the Gita during his World's Religious Parliament and other lectures. So, what is the Gita to you, and what is Swamiji's message on the Gita?
Thank you, Uttara. That's a wonderful question. And yes, indeed, I have read the Bhagavad Gita multiple times. Growing up, it's almost every day. There was this thing with my grandmother. I had to read a verse, and she used to read a lot, and they both believed in it, and they've spoken about both Swamiji and my father. Coincidentally, I must tell you some things. My father believed in the Bhagavad Gita, and in the war, everybody has code names. Incidentally, my father's code name was Arjun. He believed. So, the beautiful character of Arjun is like this. And it's something you will think of Swamiji when I talk of these qualities. You will think of my father when I talk of these qualities. Young, intelligent, talented. Yet, to become so humble and learn when Krishna has to give them those guidelines. The first quality of Swamiji himself is that he's a learner, absorbing himself in books, listening to various schools of thought, and then forming his school of thought. He was not just preaching, he was practicing, he was listening, absorbing, practicing, then spreading that knowledge. My father also believed that you have to be like that vessel that can take it all in. You have to abandon your perception of knowing everything and be that learner. And what a beautiful way that he left this world being Arjun. That was his code name in the war too. And I truly believe if you truly read the Bhagavad Gita, actually, I make notes on my favorite aspects of Gita. If you give me a second, I will remove the exact line and that will make all of you smile. Just give me a second.
Please, please,
Yeah,
please take
sure.
your time.
Oh yes, yes. Am I visible?
Yes,
Right.
you're properly visible and it's clearly audible. Please.
Yes. So that and I will get to that part soon. I've taken out one of my favorite notes. Do remind me at the end of the session. I will read out some of my because I think it'll be a great way to end the session. But I was beginning to tell you, if you remember, if you've listened to Swamiji's or read what he said in this discussion with a student, which I'll come to again later, that people often thought that Sri Ramakrishna's teachings often clashed with Swamiji's teachings or sayings too. And in one such discussion, he tells him that you don't know enough to know the difference. There is no difference. He also asks you to submit. Even I believe so too. You have to be an instrument. You can't believe you are the cause of every action around you. You have to be an instrument and submit to that purpose. If you go back to Bhagavad Gita, even in chapter 11, verse 30, if I'm not wrong, he, what does Krishna say? Become an instrument. It is not your job to measure the fruit, the it is not your job to measure the task given, but to do it. And I think that is so beautiful. You look at the entire system of how the forces operate, how the Indian armed forces operate. At the battlefield, your senior gives you an order. You listen. You put your faith and trust in the judgment of your leader, and you do it to the best of your commitment. Imagine if at every stage they doubted that order. They did not submit to themselves. We would never win a war. We would never succeed on a battlefield. We would never succeed in anything that requires teamwork. Which brings me to my point. It is to submit like an instrument. And the word submit is often taken in a very negative sense. But what I meant is like Arjun, to listen, to leave everything and just listen. And that is so beautiful to be able to do that. Now, when I look at Gita, when you read the Bhagavad Gita, they talk of dharma, right? The dharma of a yodha. That is something my father believed in. A soldier being a yodha, and to have that clarity of that separation of duty. Nobody likes to kill, but sometimes the only way to find peace is it is your intention that matters more than the path or your instrument of doing it. And it is that battle of duties that we often can't untie the knot of. And I think I have also not experienced enough of life, but I can only hope that so much that I've learned from my father and that all of us have learned through Swamiji's teachings, someday when the time comes, we can apply. Right?
Thank you so much, Aprajita. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Indeed, it was the idea of commitment and the idea of submitting to oneself and the intention and the voice that comes from within that, okay, this is where my destination lies. And, just keeping the head high and marching on to that road until we reach the glory. That was something really beautifully said and so well explained with the reference of the Gita. Now, I would like to invite the fourth student, Sai Sahana, with her question. Sai Sahana, please.
Thank you, Divyanshu. Hi, Aprajita. Hi. Are you able to hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we are able to hear
So,
you.
yeah, thank you. My question, yeah, yeah. My question for you is, as an aspiring defense analyst, how do you think you can help to bring about a change in the field of work in the way and teachings of Swami Vivekananda?
That's a wonderful question. So, first of all, I think this is a point I'd like to reflect on something that we know the year that Swami Vivekananda, in the Parliament of World Religions, made his iconic speech in Chicago. And what was the year? It was 1893, right? Now I want all of you, food for thought. I'm going to put out some numbers. Do you know when the first commercial aeroplane became functional? When somebody could travel on a commercial aeroplane? It was in 1914. Television came in 1920. It came in, yeah, 1926. Television came in. The first newspaper came in 1927. The first phone came in 1928. The first telephone came in 1932.
Kindly stay connected. It's a technical glitch on Aprajita's part. She will join at the earliest. Kindly stay connected.
Probably there was
Yes,
a network.
Aprajita, we have you back
Yeah.
again. Yeah,
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
connected. There was a glitch. It's completely all right. Yeah.
So let me begin. So in 1893 he spoke, right? After that, putting out some numbers, the first time anybody could use travel in a commercial flight was 1914. The first time television, you know, forget access. When it was invented itself was 1926. Internet 1990, radio 1894, a year later. Now, why I put out these numbers was some of the most iconic inventions that we can't live without today happened much after he made this iconic speech. We talk of access, we talk of influencers, we talk of leaders, we talk of outreach. What are our tools? Without a television, without a radio, without the internet, imagine somebody making such an impact that he is chosen to represent our nation so far off at a time where they largely did not respect or take seriously people of our ethnicity. It was a time where the world was not truly aware of what a melting pot of knowledge, capability India was. In the West, they did not know this yet as much. And to be the representative of that at that point of time. Look at India. We have so many scholars. And amongst so many scholars, somebody so young as him, at the age of 30, was chosen to represent, to tell them, to tell the English speakers in their language what our religion, what our culture brought. To have that popularity within our entire nation of so many languages and so many thinkers, and to take it all the way, that requires a personality so big that I cannot even dream of. Because how did the word travel? How did people know? And to be able to connect with so many people, with so many barriers existing, for them to truly look at you as a leader is iconic. That is the word it is. I can't imagine, and honestly, nobody today can ever reach that feat because today we have it easier. We have connectivity. We already have a tar laid road. We don't have to break the stones and make it. But at that point of time to do that, it's It's about circumstances. Even today, we tend to automatically respect people elder to us in age. Is it not true? However, for a young person to gain that kind of attention, for them to take you seriously, for them to look at the knowledge a young person possesses, is still not that easy. You you don't by default look at a young person and think of knowledge. We look at an elder person and think of experience. So for somebody as young as him to be for people elder to you across the entire nation and the world to look at somebody as young as that and say we have something to learn from him, that is, I think that is something that we can only dream to achieve. We can only dream to achieve.
Thank you so much, Aprajita.
Indeed, that was very well said. The idea of a perfect blend of experience and the perfect blend of knowledge. And that is what the idea of ultimate success is about, which is way too rare, and it is actually a matter of tapasya, I should say. Okay, so going ahead, yes, going ahead, we have Vibha with us. Vibha, the stage is all yours. Aprajita is here with us. You can have the question, you can have the word with Aprajita, please.
Hi. So I'm going to be asking a question about the book you wrote. So I just want to know what made you write the book and what were your thoughts running in your mind when you wrote the book? And how did your family react to your book? And as a follow up, I would also like to ask, do you plan on writing any more books?
Thank you so much, Vibha. That's a wonderful set of questions. So, let me read to you before that something that I told you I would come back to. Okay. So, in chapter 2, verse 47, okay, this is from the Gita. It says, Karmanye vadikaraste ma faleshu kadachana ma karma falaheturbhur ma te sanga swatakarmini. Which means it is your right to perform your dharma, your duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your actions. But never consider yourself the cause of the result of your activity, and do not be attached with inaction. It is impossible that you will never make a mistake. If people in the forces ever think, when they are at war, that they're ending a life, they'll never be able to touch that weapon. But when they know that they will end everything that comes in the way of security to their nation, they create that distinction. And that is something so beautiful we should learn in life. We often get too attached with what we do, so much so that we forget to see our own flaws, our own shortcomings. I think we get so myopic in our viewing in life. We work with expectations, which is why it's important to have hobbies. My grandmother always inculcated in us this quality of having hobbies. And she said, hobby is something you don't do with a goal. It's something you do for the sheer joy you get out of doing it. And subconsciously, you don't have an expectation from it. So, this is a small way we practice the words of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and the words of Swamiji in our daily lives. We work without expectations of result or the fruits of our action when we pursue a hobby because we're just happy to be performing it. People who love a sport don't think of winning every match they play in their practice. They go because they love the sport. Yes, winning is a motivation, but it's not an expectation. That is what we do when if you like to draw or read. You don't think about the ending of the book. You enjoy the process of reading the book. And I think that is so beautiful. That perception of our hobby as, a practice. When it comes to this book that I wrote, R. Bablu, the hero of Dras, Major Padmapani Acharya Mahavir Chakra, R. Bablu because Bablu was his nickname, the hero of Dras because that is what they called him after he came back from the mountains. And I was 18 years old, and I had visited Surat for an event. Other families of um, heroes were also there. People whose loved ones had sacrificed their lives to for the nation. We all sat down and everybody was saying, what has your state done? You know, what are the various activities, endeavors you're involved in, etc., etc., etc. Everybody was having that discussion, and we interacted with people, and they seemed to know the names of some other heroes. They were talking about it, but a lot of them didn't remember my father's name. And I felt hurt, but not that they didn't know his name. I introspected and I instantly knew that what have I done to talk about my father? Why should I expect anyone to know his name? It is not their job to know his name. It is my job to tell the world his story. He did what he had to, and he made his journey to the beyond. He did his job and left. But telling his story as his daughter was my job. Who else was there after him? The family did their job and took care of me. My grandparents did their best and told about their son. But what now? What have I done as a daughter? And I was very, very angry at myself. So we came back. I made my entire family sit down and I shouted. I said, I haven't done anything. So what do I do? What do I do? I feel so sad that my hero of a father is not known in larger parts of the country as opposed to his counterparts because I failed in telling his story. And it was that wound that I instantly had to correct. So his birthday was approaching. That year was going to be his 50th year if he had lived. So I decided, okay, what can we do? So it started very simple. That year we decided we would create this gallery at home, which is basically this display where we'll put up his uniform and his favorite books and his harmonica. And just you enter the house and you can see a glimpse of Major Acharya there, of Bablu. So I said, okay, everybody who comes wants to read his letters. Now, I said, people, these are old letters. Every time removing them, it's not that safe also because they can tear anytime. And people wouldn't understand the context. There are so many letters. My grandmother saved every letter he ever wrote. And the book just has 10% of those letters. So, I said, how do they understand get the context? So I said, okay, how about we create this book where we put pictures, where we put his letters. So, people can just flip through the book. Okay, we put that. And then I thought, but then I have to put the story or the background for it to make sense, for the chronology to make sense. And when we started to ask people, his friends and his seniors, they said, we also want a copy. So then I thought, why not? There's so many people who wanted to read that book too. So I said, why limit it to the hall of our room? And then we created this model. So we created this book where we divided his life into various chapters: his childhood, his college days, how he joined the army, him meeting my mother, you know, him freshly as a young lieutenant, much later as a major in the war. Before that, when he went for the Republic Day parade, various chapters of his life, letters in those years, so you can actually see how he has grown as a person. His perception has grown as a person. Stories written by his loved ones, narrating, the kind of person he was. And how interesting it is. I did not approach any publisher because I didn't want anyone to make profit of my father's story. So it works on charitable model. So we have all the money that people spend in buying the book goes to the Major Padmapani Acharya Foundation. So that cycle of charity is on. So to create anybody who buys this book, money goes into the bank account of that trust and we do our charity from there. So it goes back to the society. So no one's making money off it. And that's something my father would have loved. He loved reading books. I say I've co-authored this book with my father because the most beautiful part of the book are his letters. So that is something I would truly say. Mm, and I, as far as the next book, well, I didn't have to put any effort into my first book being a blockbuster because I had a hero to write about, and he itself ensured it is his life and his stories that touched people's hearts. You know, it's about how, if you read the book, he he was not a hero right from childhood. No, he was one of us. It's only his decisions that made him a hero. His personality that makes people etched in, that he's etched in people's memories. And that says it's all about the choice. एक वक्त आता है और उस वक्त में एक it's the time and a decision you make when the time comes. And that decision changes it all. And it's a series of those decisions that make a hero. And I am so inspired by that. For my second book, well, I do have an idea in my mind though, and I hope that can happen soon. That is, of course, there. So I hope I
I'm
answered all of it.
actually looking forward to your book because when I first learned about you, I got more interested and I wanted to learn more and more about your father, and that's how I got to learn a lot of things, and I still continue to do so. So thank you so much for answering our questions about this.
I am so fortunate, Vibha. I'm very fortunate. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
You said something really beautiful, perhaps the best sentence that has been spoken till now, that you have co-authored the book with your father. Brilliant, brilliant. It was so great to hear you. Now we have another student. We have Hari Priya from Chennai. She wants to ask you, know about your father, know about you, the lifestyle, the everything. Hari Priya, it's all your time.
Yeah,
But
Prajita
yeah,
thank
is
you
with
very
us.
much, before you ask me. Uh, Divyanshu, that you said that I said I co-authored the book with my father. If you actually look at the book, nowhere is it mentioned by Aparajita Acharya. Who am I to write my father's story? He lived it. It's his life. So he lived it. How
Indeed,
can I write a
indeed.
story someone, right?
Yeah, he made himself immortal. He made himself immortal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now, yes, Aprajita, please.
Very
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Prajita. It's a great honor to be here with you and to listen to your inspiring words about your father. And we were able to understand more about the kind of person that he was and the different roles he played in your life. So you mentioned that the letters that he wrote to your family was like one of the most beautiful things that you've experienced. So which one of those letters like connected you to your dad the most when you read them?
I think there are four letters that come to my mind. Four, okay, every letter, but let me talk of this is one of the letters he wrote just when he had commissioned. So he commissioned and he joined his unit. His first posting, and he has written to my grandmother. And there's one line where he tells, he's reminiscing of the day he passed out as an officer, the passing out parade, the day he commissioned as an officer. So he tells my grandmother, "Do you remember that day, Ma? When you and Papa had come for the POP? My course mates were there, all of us, getting pipped by our loved ones. Because if you've ever seen the video of a passing out parade, it is your family members that pip your shoulders and unveil the stars on your shoulders." So he said, you remember that day that all my course mates were there and we all were commissioning as officers, and you people pipped my shoulders. Funny it is, when I look back and think of that day, there were so many people standing there in that ground together, but all I remember is the three of us. And I think that is every happy moment in life. Go back to every happy moment in life. All you remember is you being with your loved ones. Where others didn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't stay in our memory. At that minute, what matters is people who truly matter to you. And I thought that was very beautiful. You know. Second was when he wrote. He was narrating the incident where he was basically night watch. So he's gone नाइट ड्यूटी पे, पेट्रोल पे, जो भी है. And he's sitting there in the darkness. And he made this observation. So he's observing nature. And he said, the woods are beautiful. And I just realized what stars are to the sky, the fireflies are to this forest. Because he had noticed the fireflies. So, and in the darkness, he said, it was almost like a scene out of the book that I saw shooting star. And then I looked at my buddy. So the one of the men who accompanied him, okay, like his shadow. So and he started praying and he asked him, Saab, aapne kya manga? What did you wish for? So he said, how could I tell him that I wished for whatever he wished to come true? So it just talks of the bond any officer has with his men, what a leader has with the people he leads. When we, like, that where Swamiji says that when his situation was not good at home and his family told him, you should go to the temple and pray. And over there, he could not pray for anything other than knowledge. He couldn't ask for that when his family was in debt, when there was all of that going on. He talks of that dilemma. Swamiji says that he couldn't ask for anything else other than knowledge, other than guidance. He didn't ask for help. He asked for knowledge and guidance. And I think that is a beautiful quality. Not being selfish when we ask God for something, when we wish for something. The third letter actually was, when I think it was a letter where he basically was talking of, how he was talking, basically was telling my mother about the journey of how of motherhood makes a woman into a goddess. And he says, you're creating something, you're creating life. Nobody else can do that. You are nurturing someone. You're nurturing someone who is going to look up to you for everything. And I think that is beautiful. And you should embrace it. But more importantly, he spoke of how the minute anything goes wrong in life, we think of our mother. Even towards the end, the last few letters my father wrote, he used to speak of, Ma, I miss you. I think of you. You should come here. Ma, you remember the time back when we were young? We used to paint together over the summer holidays. Ma, you remember you did this. Ma, you remember you told me that. Every time a child falls sick, we think of, we say, Ma. It was like a child was banging for his mother. He was yearning for my grandmother. He didn't know how much time he had left, but wanting his mother. I think that is so beautiful. How we subconsciously seek to be with our parents. It's something we do all the time. It's our comfort. It's our subconsciously, it's what we reach out for. And they are the only people we can reach out for. Reach out to, you know. You can be a soldier, but you'll always need your parent. You'll always need your mother. For your mother, you'll always be a child first. And that is very beautiful. I related to that because I know no matter where I go in my life, I'll always need my mother. I'll always need my family. And my mother told me once that nothing you do will make you less in our eyes, and nothing you do will make us love you any less. And I always think of that. The only reason I know tomorrow, God forbid, I make a mistake in life, and which I've made plenty. I know she'll give me a round or two, my family will shout at me, but I know that they will still be there for me. Shouting is their job. I need to be corrected when I make a mistake, but they'll be there. And that's very reassuring. It connects me to that letter that my father wrote. And then finally, I think the letter that all of you must have read, I think his last letter, where he talks of how it is an honor, that death is a hazard of the profession, and how it is an honor to sacrifice your life for the nation. And if given a chance, he will not think twice. And if given a chance, he'll do it again. And how he asks the family to pray for the unit. He is not asking to pray for himself, he's asking pray for the unit. Brave, we succeed. He writes in his letters, have you seen they wrote about our unit? They got a commendation. The boys have done proud. He's so proud of his team, his family, his unit, his Paltan. And that pride is something I find so admirable, you know. And how he has that composure to say death can happen anytime. And he's preparing his family. He's saying it's a professional hazard, you know, it's an honor. And I'll think of it as nothing less. And I think that's very beautiful.
Thank you so much,
I hope I
Aprajita. That was
answered
really
your
wonderful to
question.
listen to. Yes, yes, he did.
Thank you.
Prajita, when you were talking to us and answering Sri Haripriya's question, I could not help but reiterate that in my mind what late Captain Vikram Batra said to his brother, twin brother, that when you join the forces, there's a bullet that destiny makes for you, and once you get that, you actually become immortal. You go on to live forever. You fall on the battlefield, but you actually go on to live forever. And I don't know why, but it was like a loop in my head. And it was great to
That is
be
so
with you today. It was
true.
great. Yeah.
That is so true. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm
please,
able to talk to
Pranita,
all
you
of
have
you.
something to share with us, please.
That Batra sir spoke of. If you
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? And that is actually, that is my father was from Rajputana Rifles, right? So the regimental motto is Veer Bhogya Vasundhara,
yeah, yeah.
which
Raj
is a line from the Gita. Yes. So Krishna tells him, what do you have to lose? If you die, if you win, the victory is yours. You've conquered all. And if you die, you know it's an absolute honor. You attain moksha, you come to heaven. You're doing something so noble that nothing can go wrong. You win both ways. So it is truly that, it is truly that.
And at the end of the day, Aprajita, my grandfather, uh, he was actually, it's not related, but he was actually, interviewed by Field Marshal Kareppa when we unfortunately lost the 1962 war. He could not make it to the services then. He used to tell me, he often tells me that a hopeful journey is always better than reaching the destination. We all are so humbled and we are so grateful to have you, to have shared, you have shared so much about your father, and the nation is forever indebted. He's not just someone, who was a soldier, but someone who will inspire every youth to go and work for the country, be it wearing the uniform, be it by some any other means. We have come to the end of this presentation, but I have one request, and I wish to make to you. I find you someone who is far more intelligent. See, I've actually got some goosebumps, okay? Who is someone far more intelligent, far more experienced, someone the country should listen to. Your message to the country, your message to the youth of India, your message to all of us who are from different, who are joining from different places, sitting on our sofas before the television. Tell us something, the idea of India of your dreams, please.
I think the India of my dreams is where we stop listening to the world's definition of us and redefine us on our own terms. Let nobody tell us who created this category of developing developed nation, who created this category of what we were capable of. Who are they to assess our abilities as a nation? Let us put out the facts. Let us drive the narrative and let us tell the world what we can do. We spend our entire life working hard, thinking when we grow up, when we are successful, we will do this. There is no point where you reach of success and then decide to do it. You do it now or never. Think of all the great people. Think of Swamiji. He was so young when he did what he did. Look at my father. He was so young when he did what he did. War was won by young men, officers and men who went because it was the young ones that fought. Wherever we look, it is the young ones that do. So who are we to not do it? I think we have maximum energy, maximum time to devote, and least responsibility at our age, which is the biggest advantage. And I think we should use that to achieve our dreams and together move ahead as a nation. Patriotism is not a choice. It is something we must embrace. This nation is ours as much as we are of this nation. Our identity, the way where we come from, how we look, how we think, what we speak, all of it is a mark that we are connected to this nation. We can't move away from that. This is our identity, and we must embrace it.
That was
And
so
which tells
that
you,
was so
yes,
beautifully
thank you.
said. Yeah, please.
You are so excellent a moderator, Divyanshu. I must tell you. Thank you so much for
Thank
moderating
you.
today's
Thank you
session.
so much. Thank you. It was truly an honor to have you. I must say this. It was truly an honor. And we wish to have similar gatherings with you, with other people, once again in the time to come. Again, a new learning process, and it will be a great time, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Divyanshu. Thank you
Aprajita,
so
is
much.
there, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Albe
Aprajita, is there
Academy.
anything that I'm sorry, is there anything
Yes,
that you wish to say to all of us, to the people who are listening to you, who are connected online? Anything? It's
thank you
all
for
your
giving
time now.
thank you for giving me this platform to reach out to everyone and talk. It was wonderful. The questions were so well thought of. I think if you people would have asked me to speak without these questions, I probably wouldn't have been able to think also about these questions and answer the way that I could. And thank you so much, Albe Academy. Thank you so much, Krishna Sweets. Thank you so much, Prashanti, Auntie. You people have, you know, given me this opportunity to be here and interact with all of you. And, you know, I always say that uh, there is so much to learn because and we all are making mistakes. And I can't preach because I myself am so young. I'm experiencing life. I haven't truly seen life yet. But I really hope when the next time we talk, we have more experiences to talk of. Where we, talk after some time, Divyanshu, me, Vibha, Prashanti, all of us have these different experiences we can come together and talk about again. And I really love talking to all of you because you're my age. And these thoughts that I have in my head, these stories of my father, I am glad all of you want to listen to it. He would be so happy. So thank you so much for giving me this platform. It's been an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure. And I think discussing how Swamiji has impacted our lives is such a wonderful idea because he has truly changed lives. I know people who have spoken about how lost they were in life and the guidance they have found in his teachings. So absolutely.
Thank you so much, Aprajita. Thank you to all the six students. I'm sure you all had a great interactive session, a learning process with Aprajita. And on the behalf of the Academy, on the behalf of Sri Murli Sweets, and on the behalf of the team, we extend a salute to your father, a more salute, a more beautiful salute to you for writing that book, for being someone who could guide us in the times of distress, in the times of darkness. We come to the end of this session. The seventh series come to the end, and next Sunday, same time, 6 p.m., same destination, we would be connecting with all of you who are sitting on your sofas before the television with some other resource person next time. See you then. Take care. Good night.
Thank you so much.